In this video, you will learn about insert command. The insert into statement is used to insert new records in a table. It is possible to write the insert statement in two ways. By specifying both the column names and the values to be inserted, then only just specifying the values. Now let's look into the syntax. Insert into table, then the column names and values. Let's say we want to insert a record in our customer table. So insert into customers, column names, customer name, country, city and age. Then values, name of the customer, then the country name, then city name and the age. SQL requires single quotes around text values. However, numeric fields should not be enclosed in quotes. Now let's look into just by specifying only the values. If you are adding values for all the columns of the table, you don't need to specify the column names in the SQL query. However, make sure the order of the values is in the same order as the column in the table. Now, the syntax is insert into table name, values, then value for each column. Now, insert into customers, values, then for each column, you need to provide the values. Now, it is also possible we can insert data from one table into another table. So, the syntax is insert into the table, then the column, then select the columns from another table. Let's say we have a table called customer new and we want to insert all the records from our customer table into customer new. So insert into customer new, then the column names, customer name, country, city, age, then select customer name, country, city, age from customers. Now let's log into our SQL Server. Now let's go to our database testdb. So we have a table called customers. Now let's open new query. Let's now insert a record into our customer table. So insert into table name, customers, then the column names. So customer name, country, then city, then age and values. As customer name, country, city, we have used varchar. So for any string values, we have to enclose it with single quotes. So customer name in single quote, then country name in single quotes, and city name also in single quotes. Then some age 25. Now let's execute it. So you got a message, one row affected. Now to get all the records from a table, we have to use the syntax select star from the table name. We will learn more about select statements in the next video. So let's say select star from customers. As we have two syntaxes, insert into and select star from. So if we want to run a particular query, what we can do, we can select that particular query and we can execute it. So only that particular query will be executed. Now we can see that one record is inserted, user 1, India, Bangalore and 25. Now let's remove the column age and let's remove the 25 also. Now let's execute it. Now you can see that the same record it got inserted, user 1, India, Bangalore, but here the age it become null as we have removed the column age from our insert statement. Now let's go to our table design. When we create a table, by default it becomes for the column it becomes allow nulls. So if we want to make a column as a mandatory, we have to make sure that the allow nulls is unchecked. So if we are made that column allow as unchecked, it's going to be a mandatory field. So let's do it. Let's remove the allow nulls from the age. Let's try to save it. Now we got a error like unable to modify table, cannot insert null into the age. As we have already inserted a null value, so it's not allowing us to modify the column. Now let's go and delete all the records from the table. So to delete all the records, it's delete from table. So we will learn in our upcoming video about the delete statements. So let's execute it. So it's deleted all the records. Now let's try to save it. Now it got saved. Now let's execute again the insert statement. So we got an error message, cannot insert the value null into the age. In the customer table, column does not allow nulls. So if we want to make any field as mandatory, we have to make it as we should not allow nulls in those columns. So what is the create statement? So let's look into the create statement. So let's say create table. Let's name it user info. And let's say user ID integer null. Then let's say user name integer username integer not null, and let's execute it. So command completed successfully. Let's refresh the tables. Now let's go to the design view. Now you can see that for user ID it's checked and for username it is unchecked. So while creating a table, even we can specify like user ID null, whichever column we want to. It's not going to be a mandatory field, we can allow null, and if a field is a mandatory, we can say it's not null. Now let's see how we can insert multiple rows in one go. So let's remove this. So let's remove values and say select. As we have made age as mandatory, so let's provide the age column name. Then let's copy. Then the syntax we are going to use is union all. Then let's paste the record. Let's change it from user1 to user2, and again let's copy it and paste it. Let's change from user2 to user3. We will learn more about union all in our next video. So let's try to execute it. So now we can see that all these records been inserted into our tables. So likewise, if we want to change 4, 5, then 6, let's insert it. So one go it has inserted 3 records. Now how we can insert records from one table to the other table? Now let's quickly create one more table, like create table customer, let's say duplicate records. Let's have two columns here as customer name, that's is varchar of 250, and let's give it as age integer. Now let's execute to create this table. So the table got created. So we can see here that customer duplicate record got created. Now we want to insert a record from customer table to the customer duplicate records. So what we can do is insert into customer duplicate records. We can take out this varchar, then age, then select customer name age from our customers table. Let's execute this query. So now you can see 8 rows affected. Let's select from customers duplicate records. Let's execute select customer name age from customer duplicate records. Now we can see that all the 8 records that we created in customers table are now in our customer duplicate records table.